Hey, welcome back to God. I'm Mia. Let's dive in. I want to make this short and sweet. Um, as you all know, if you've seen any of my videos, I used to be heavily into tarot. I used to read it, used to get readings, all the whole 9 yards, had books, everything. And I was sitting and I was thinking about like, well, how is it so that, a lot of these readings were extremely accurate. I would get readings from strangers who have never didn't even know I existed until I slid up in their emails or whatever, and they actually had very, very insightful information on me, very insightful information on my family. I mean, I know other people who have gotten readings and it was just like, yo, like, how did you know that? Like, what? And the first time, and what really traps you in it is because when you have that type of experience, you're blown away. You're like, yo, how did you know? Like, how did, like, so you're blown away and the experience of it lures you in. And I'm sitting and I'm thinking about that. And I'm like, that goes completely against faith, but that's a whole nother live, or not live, but video. And it dawned on me that the reason why these readers or anybody who is doing tarot has such accuracy is because they are tapping into a spirit that is on your head. What does that mean? They're tapping into intel from a spirit that has been assigned to you, that has been assigned to your bloodline, that has been assigned to keep the generational curses going, that have been assigned through whatever offerings or sacrifice or whatever has transpired, covenants. They're tapping into the intel. They have direct access to intel from a spirit that has been with your family since before you were even born. So of course the knowledge is going to be there and just be downloaded. Many times people will say, I heard something, I heard a voice, I heard a voice. And now I've had both experiences. I used to hear voices when I was doing the tarot and doing all the woo-woo. Okay, I did. And I've also had the experience now of having a prophetic dream. It's a different experience. So when somebody says, well, I hear the actual voice, I'm skeptical because I know the difference. I've lived the difference, right? So when you're hearing these voices, well, who's talking? Who is on the other side of the phone, right? And so for a complete stranger to have such not, and I mean, when you think about it, these are cards. It's a deck of invitation, of course, but these are just cards. So something has to be connecting to the unseen. This person has to be connecting to something unseen because this information specifically that you have about me and my life and my family doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. The type of downloads that you're getting doesn't make sense. You know too much, right? Which is also something else to be aware of, because if somebody taps into energy and they can see something positive down the line for you, they can either skew it on purpose, tell you something completely different so that it will be sabotaged. They can manipulate and control, or they can see something down the line for you and block it in their own downtime, right? You have to be very wary. You have to be very aware of the power that you put somebody in when you're asking them to read about your life. You don't know how that person is doing in their own life. And imagine you have a tarot reader who picks up on energy. You about to be married. You about to be a millionaire. You about to, and they just lost their job, lost their husband, lost their wife, lost their, how you think they're going to feel? I'm pretty sure that they're not going to be bigging you up as much as you would like, or you or be as honest as much as you would like. And a lot of this happens ignorantly, right? You don't know, like myself, I didn't know tarot was demonic because I had done so much research that it was flipped on me. Like, this is what your ancestors did. This is how they got through. This is, this is you connecting with your ancestors and the spirit and da da da. So it had me worshiping something completely different from what I was told all of my life. But I wanted to speak to the accuracy, because a lot of people say, well, tarot was for real. Tarot, like I got game from tarot. you got games from tarot because it's tapped into the spirit of oppression. It's tapped into the spirit of poverty. It's tapped into the spirit of anti-marriage. It's tapped into the spirit of what else you want. It's tapped into all these spirits that have been placed on your head. And now you've probably added more spirits on your head because now you're dabbling in it. So you've added to the generational curses that your bloodline has gone through, right? If a reader is coming through and telling you stuff about your family, that's crystal clear, accurate, right? But they don't know nothing about you or your family. There has to be a link. There has to be a link of intel. It has to. And the only thing that makes sense to me is that the spirit that has been placed on your head is talking, is communicating, which also can be, you could also say that there's a high level of manipulation there as well. Because if that's the case, then the spirit can manipulate and make it seem one way. And then in real life, you're like, but she told me this. He told me this. And it's going completely opposite. So you just got again. You got again as you're going deeper down the hole. So you're trying to seek refuge and you're trying to seek peace and money and love and marriage and happiness and fertility, not knowing you're actually going the opposite way. So that's why tarot readings, I believe, are so accurate. That's why tapping into spirit and doing all of these occult practices and, you know, whether it's pendulum, it's anything that forces you to tap into something, a seance, I don't know what, all of it. You're tapping into the spirit that is on your head. And it's for sure known that if you're doing tarot and all that, ain't none of them curses been broken. You may think that's what you're doing. That's another trick. You may think you're breaking curses. You may think that you're making it full circle. You're bringing it back around and you're redeeming the family and you're going to start fresh, not knowing you're being tricked every step of the way. And so when you get onto these videos and they start praying at the beginning of their tarot reading, and I'm not pointing fingers because I used to be fooled too. It'd be like, okay, they're praying. I even tell somebody, you want to look for the ones that are praying because at least they're connected to God. No, God ain't none of that. God ain't in none of that. I used to be fooled too, and God ain't in none of that. And if somebody try to come for me, this ain't what you want, right? So, this is putting people up on game about who have been tricked. Because so many have been tricked. So many have been tricked. And it makes me angry, but it makes me sad. So many have been tricked. So I wanted to bring this to the forefront in a video in hopes that somebody will come across it who can see it and be like, I never thought of that. I never thought of that. Because the moment that you start to feel convicted about what you're doing, let's go. Because that's how it starts. You start to feel convicted and you're like, God is talking to me. God is pulling me back. God is saying, okay, you've done enough. You have enough experience to be able to help somebody else. You have enough experience to be able to stop somebody else. Okay. So just think about that. Think about that. Because everybody is victim to what an ancestor did before them. And the problem is that we don't always know everything that our ancestors did that has affected us in both positive and mostly negative ways. Some bloodlines have generational blessings. I've seen it. Some bloodlines, a lot of bloodlines have generational curses. And so if you haven't watched Covenant Keeping God by Covered by God, I highly recommend it. Highly, highly recommend it. And that's all. So I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.